going on, brother? How are you?
Good man. Where'd your hair go?
Oh, I got rid of it a while back. Dude, I go through this cycle and like endlessly of telling myself, yo, I'm gonna grow my hair out. And then it's always something like I'm working and it's just getting like drywall dust in it and it's getting clumpy. And then I have to wash it thoroughly and then go to jujitsu and then wash it again. And then if I work out in the morning, I'm washing it again. And I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna get rid of this. It happens with my beard too, dude. I grow out a fat beard and get rid of it. And that's just,
That's true. I guess it's work season too. That makes sense.
yeah, it's also
Uh,
just a testament to how I just suck at sticking to things, dude.
Are you still running in the mornings?
Yeah, I recently, started again. I
Good.
just recently
Good.
started again. I fell off during the winter time because it's just so easy when you're just got the exercise bike there and you're like, why would I go outside when I can just chill in here and throw on a YouTube video and just hit the bike? But no,
That's good.
I kind of toned it down with the distance just so I could get back into doing it every single day again.
hmm
And I'm getting
So
back
what are you
into it.
running for distance now?
I think it's only like 5, 6K in the
Oh,
morning.
it's perfect. Yeah, man. That's easy. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not that bad. And I do it like with the intention of like this is going to be my warm up and then I just like going around the neighborhood. I've got this little loop, so
Nice. I like it.
yeah, man. How are you? What's
Yeah.
going on? You got a lot of
Man,
stuff going on now.
man, it's been insane. Insane. Like it's just been such a wicked journey. Um, fuck, yeah. When was the last time we chatted? When was the last time I was on?
I think it was
Man, it was a
about
bit.
6, 7 months ago, maybe even longer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was after Gibbons took his life there back last year. I think it was shortly after that, whenever my
Oh,
troopmate passed.
right, right,
It
right.
was right around then. Yeah,
Maybe,
man,
yeah.
it's been in a good way because it just well actually today is the 1 year anniversary of when Gibbons took his life. He was a true mate of mine, but
Mm.
it lit such a big fire where I was like, man, like things have to change in the industry and in the department and this and that, but I just got to support and help more people. So I really just started. I would coach in the mornings, go for work, and then coach in the evenings. And if I wasn't coaching, I would be running down for programming and I just was doing. I love it. It's been such a passion of mine now that I can't. It's just been crazy.
Yeah, dude. And so, like, because you've had a few events, like speaking events going on recently
Yeah,
as well. How'd you get into
yeah.
starting to do that?
Well, honestly, I remember saying to somebody, they were like, how are you? Are you prepared? Are you? And I said, I think it was, I really enjoy with the podcasts being able to connect to people, sharing your story, and how it just kind of gives them a face to the name, but also like connecting with them and telling them like you're gonna have your shitty days, you're gonna have your days where you're just like that couldn't be any worse or it couldn't be any better, right? But it's just gonna be that up and down. So I feel like with my speaking on the podcast, I really developed a passion for like just connecting with people and being like it's okay to be not okay. Like it's okay to feel like you're feeling. So then I just started a bunch of the different spots that I was an exhibitor at with my RTF gear. They kind of heard my story and they were like, "Do you want to speak?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can." And they were like, "Really?" And I was like, "Well, I can't fuck up my own story. Like it's my story. I was there. Like I can't
Yeah.
screw it up." So and I just, people just connected with it, I guess. So I was just getting asked to speak at different events and, yeah, it's been amazing. The big one coming up now is Tema. Um, it's here. It's a Canadian Cross Canada Foundation. And yeah, I connected with them last year, and I remember last year being like, man, it'd be sweet to, get to be a speaker someday. And then I remember whenever they called being like, hey, do you want to speak? And I'm like, oh my God, like that now it's happening. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's been good, man. Just kind of keeping it rolling and loving it.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Have you thought about just going and doing a podcast yourself?
No, I did actually, ironically. I remember it was funny because I was telling, because my partner, she's a sweetheart. She's been with me since probably like 5 years before the incident. So she knew what I'm capable of and how happy I'm capable of being, but she really saw me spiraling. So it's funny because whenever you were in our big cross country trip and we were rooftop tenting right across like the states to get to Chicago for the CrossFit competition. I remember saying to her because we were just listening to these podcasts, and I remember being like, "Yeah, like I want to tell these people my story." And then we connected, and we kind of like just it really took off from there. Um, but yeah, I remember saying I'd love to have a podcast someday, like, but I didn't. And yeah, I thought about it, but it was
Oh,
funny that
dude.
you mentioned that because we talked about it on the drive, like
Dude, you
you know,
absolutely should because whether it's like you just listening to you share your own story, listening to you kind of I don't know, like if you could share stories about other people and then just like not talk about their names or if they clear, that'd be cool,
yeah,
dude. Like even just
yeah,
having like maybe some of your clients on, like some of the people that you've helped on, share their stories. Like there's
yeah,
so many different things that, like different avenues that I'm like, even if it was just like going to these different events, like
yeah.
CrossFit events, speaking events, and just like behind the scenes stuff, because the stuff
Ah,
that you do is just so cool. You
that would
know,
be
like
cool. And it was kind of crazy. Like at a recent event, it was a local event, so it was a lot trickier because everyone that was there knew the department that I work with, so they knew but they didn't know the full story of how dark it got, how bad it got. Um, so it was really crazy because some of the people at the event, like I had dealt with, in my policing side of it, but then I saw them. I'm like, oh, that's why they were the way they were because they had this traumatic event that of course they weren't going to tell me because I was the cop that was arresting them. Of course they're going to be mad at me, right? But I didn't realize the way they were acting out of or the way they were acting was because of this previous trauma from maybe a youth or it was crazy the stories people were speaking of. And then I'm like, huh, right? It just gave me a different look, a different perspective that I think you lose after a decade in the service or over a
mhm.
decade. So yeah, it was cool. Like, so people like that, I was just like, man, this is really motivating. And even just like other members and like how they're using fitness as a way to deal with their stress, like that type of
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
I'm like, man, that's cool. You're doing it too. Like, so yeah,
Yeah, it is something crazy about how just like through everyone wants to brag about like, oh, their way is the best way, but like just
yeah,
moving your body in some sort of way like is just so therapeutic that way, man. It's
big time. So true.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
nuts, dude. But dude, definitely you should have a podcast. I think that
yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I would definitely be interested in listening to that. Like I said,
We could we could
whether
call it
it's
crusty pigs.
crusty pigs, why do you call it that?
Well, I was so okay. Did I ever tell
Oh,
you
I
the
get
old
it. Oh,
joke?
I get. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry,
crusty
sorry.
pigs.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, I don't think you told me that joke, but it took me a second to.
Oh man, like I used to always say that me and the guys we were gonna start a construction company because we were like there's a bunch of us were super disgruntled, and I was like, man, we can just stop. It'd be a bunch of retired cops. We'll call it Krusty Pig Construction, and
Dude,
they were
that's
like, oh my God, like I
yeah,
was like, it'd be a wicked logo, like.
yeah, dude. I love it. You should actually call it that. I like that a lot, dude. I will be
Yeah,
the first listener. I will endorse this podcast as much as I can
deal.
because, dude, it would literally be like, like I said, whether it's like sharing your story, dude, having, yeah, dude, there's so many different angles you could take on it.
Yeah, I enjoy it. And I feel like it gives me motivation too, because the stories I've heard from other people and how good they're doing gives me that motivation. Cause I'm like, okay, like, like not every day is rainbows and lollipops for me, right? I have my ups and downs with my recovery, but feeding off that energy of people like, yeah, like I was at this dark, but now look at how good it is and being like, oh shit, okay. So the sunrise is going to come tomorrow. We'll make it, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
kind of like, rolling with that. It's been really motivating.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely it's one of those things you gotta yeah really because I feel like a lot of people get in that headspace of and then they're kind of like condemning themselves for being there. They're like, oh, this
Yeah,
is like I should hide this. I shouldn't be feeling this. You're like, dude, no, it's fine. Like it's
yeah,
normal. It's like it's actually kind of necessary, right? Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. But even to this day, like I kind of hate to admit when I get impacted that way. For me, like a lot of the time it manifests, and I think that a lot of guys, it's like you kind of just get like that short temper. You can tell yourself like when you're getting a little bit angrier, and it's hard to admit like, oh, this is I'm just fucking worn out a little bit. I'm having a
Yeah.
fucking shitty time, you
Yeah,
know?
it's so true. I remember, like I say, Kristen, she's been with me through it all. So, but I remember like whenever I'd spiral really bad. And I remember breaking down to her and I was like, I don't want to be this way. Like, I don't want my brain to be operating this way. Like, I want to be like I was the guy that you fell in love with, right? But it was really kind of like it got so much off my chest. And she's like, I don't want to go anywhere. Like, yeah, like, yes, we're having our struggles, but like, you've gone through something crazy, but we've gone through it together. So it was like a huge point in our relationship where I was like, okay, like, we'll get through this together. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because I was just so stuck in my head and I would be running and that'd be fine. But then once I wasn't running or working out, those intrusive thoughts would come back. So then I was trying to hide that and like she didn't realize how bad I was getting. But like I said, you get to the other side and you're like, whew, we made it. Right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's that's kind of
Yeah.
what, yeah. I've always been
I
one to use humor and I find it helps process stuff because, yeah.
Dude, 100%. If I can get there like mentally, I'm good. I find like
Yeah.
if I can laugh at something, it's always like when I'm in that headspace though, I'm like just blaming everything. I'm like, oh, every time I'm around this person, they make me a worse version of myself. Or if I do this, if I don't do that, if I eat this thing, like it just makes me and I'm like it takes me a while to get to it's like, oh no, I think this is me. Like I think I'm doing something
Yeah.
wrong. Like I'm neglecting something or
It's funny because I think it was probably one of the first times on one of my speeches I remember saying like, you know, well, in the recent photo it was ironic because I had a photo of in the recent speech I did, I had a photo from 7 days after the incident, and then I had a photo taken like a week before, and it was 1,037 days after. And it was really eye-opening for me because I had just been going through getting updated photos because it'd been the first time that I had done an updated speech. And I was like, holy shit, like it's been 1,030, like now it's probably 1,060 some days. But I was like, wow, like no wonder I've changed, right?
Mhm.
You know, it's been so like 24-hour cycles, right? Like, okay, it's been a shitty day. It's got to make it to the sunrise and we'll fucking give her another go,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then going off and coming back. But then looking at how far I had come, there was a really cool quote. Ironically, my mother sent it to me. And she said, the only time you should ever look back is to see how far you've come. And it really resonated with me because I've always been one that's been trying to like, okay, we're good, move on, move on. And it was
Right.
really cool like to look back and be like, holy fuck, yeah, I came a ways. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting to think about. I think even just to not to put this in a weird different direction, but like even I think like 4 or 5 years ago, I would have felt like the debauchery in my life was only a few years ago. And now it's
Hmm.
kind of like, oh wow, I haven't had a drink in X amount of years. And like it's like, whoa, I can say years now. Like
Yeah.
that's nuts. Like,
100%, man.
you know what I mean?
Have you ever talked to the RTF coach JT? He's from Kenora.
No, no. I don't
Oh,
even
all right. Fuck, I'll send you his contact. You're gonna get him on. He's a beauty.
Yeah, yeah.
He started with us, yeah, and he's a big advocate for sobriety, but like he said, like it's, you know, you do you, but like I cut out alcohol. I was struggling with it and I cut it out, and this is how much I've progressed. But he's on like a big sober journey now. He's doing awesome. He coaches it with us here now with RTF. So yeah,
Dude,
I'll
that's
connect you
epic.
guys because it's so true because he just hit a milestone the other day. So that really was really cool.
Yeah, and well, and it's not even like maybe not even about booze. Some people it might not even be like about that, but it's just like
Exactly.
yeah, like any debauchery, like it's just like
So
there was
true.
just silly things to think about, and I'm like, it feels like a lot of the time because the feeling of guilt or shame or like dealing with the repercussions is still present. So like sometimes I still think about myself in that way. And I'm like, oh wait, I don't behave like that anymore. I don't associate with people like that anymore. Like it's not really
Yeah.
like it's been years since I've done that shit. Like
yeah, you've come so far and you got a successful podcast, you get construction gig,
Well, I
cut
don't.
all your damn
Well,
hair.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like define success, but yeah, I got
Hey man, we're
yeah,
different. Think of it. We're at different,
yeah.
complete opposite sides of the country, and we're connecting and shooting the shit. Really,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I do it for fun. So if you
Yeah,
think of it, like I said, if you, it depends how you define success. I think, yeah, I'm having fun with it, so that's why I do it. If I
yeah.
w
I think that it's
if I
successful because
wasn't,
it's something that you enjoy, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
man, it's been fun, dude, and
yeah.
it is interesting to think about that, like that kind of transformation of just like, wow, dude, that's it's such a weird. I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's just because the feelings. Sometimes you still get reminded of those things.
Mm,
And it just like it feels like, oh, this is so fresh, and it's like, no, it's been years. Like
yeah,
it's literally not even a part of me anymore.
yeah. It's so true. It's
But
wicked.
yeah, but I mean, it goes kind of both ways as well. Like that's kind of like negative things can kind of like come back up, or I don't know. It's just yeah, it's something I've been thinking about recently, man.
It's true, man. Like it's like people don't realize the cumulative stress, right? Police or not police, like life can sometimes just slowly beat you down. And if you don't have a, I always tell people, have a finger on the pulse, right? Like, and that's a big thing I always tell them is like, it's okay if you're burnt out. Like, let's adjust the programming. Like, A, it's what you're paying me to do, but B, like, it's, but B, like, it doesn't have to, every day in the gym doesn't have to be a PR day. That's what I always say. It's a journey, it's a process. We're going to work on our weaknesses, but it's just like life, right? Not every
Oh
day is going to
yeah.
be a PR. So,
Yeah, yeah. I've even had to force myself. I used to pride myself in like I work out every single day.
mhm.
And I've had to force myself recently to like Sunday, for example, today is like my rest day. Like I don't
Yeah,
do I go for like a walk and do like a 40-minute stretch and like that's it. I'm not like
that's
doing
it.
my and it's kind of it's tough because there's day like with this week where I've like missed a couple workouts. So I'm like, oh, I kind of feel like I need to play catch up. But
Yes.
I was thinking on my walk today, I was like, maybe I should just hit a good workout after this and play catch up. And it's like, no, I think I'll just rest it today and Monday we're going to crush. Like, I
Yeah.
know I'm not the type of person to just like continuously push it next day, next day, next day. Like, it's like, I'm just going to let it rest. I beat my body up pretty hard and I demand quite a bit from it throughout the week. So I,
It's man, that's the best way to do it. I 100% agree with it. That's what I program for clients too. I'm like, you're picking a day, but we're not doing the 7 day a week crushing it in the gym. Like pick a day of the week and that's your 110% your rest day, right? Like, or
yeah.
what part of the cycle it is. And yeah, because people need to have those off days where you just, like you said, go for a walk and stretch it out and then chill and enjoy some TV.
Do you personally do that? Because I've done that for
Yeah.
years where I've always been like, oh, like I missed a workout here, so my rest day, I'm gonna sacrifice it this week. And then I just
Yeah.
end up going for like 2, 3 weeks where I kind of like, oh, I did a 50% workout yesterday, so I'll do one like 75% today. And then I just find myself like dragging ass in all of
hmm
my workouts because I'm just like on this train of like, no, but I have to do it every day.
No. So what I do for clients is you have, so usually, let's say it's like a standard Monday to Friday worker. So maybe Wednesday, like if they struggle, if I'm like, how's your hump days? And they're like, I fucking hate Wednesday. I'm like, all right. So Wednesday is going to be either a rest day or a makeup day. And then on Sunday, that would be your full, no matter what, rest day.
Mm,
So if you miss something on Monday or Tuesday, you catch it up on Wednesday and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Saturday's usually a lighter day, and then Sunday is a full rest day. Like I don't care if you missed every workout that week. Sunday's your rest day because Monday's about to beat you up. So let's recover. But then if there's somebody that loves working out before shift, then I might go, okay, let's maybe work out the Monday morning, or you know what I mean? I'll change it around for that client, but that's the methodology that's been really working for clients to keep consistent.
well, I feel vindicated then. Thank you, man. I appreciate that a
That
lot.
that makes me right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a weird journey, man, because it sounds like it feels weak to me just saying it. Like I feel
Yeah.
like every ounce of my being wants to be like, dude, just crush it every day. What are
Yeah.
you talking about?
Yeah.
That there's like that duality inside me of like, no, you don't need that whole balance. It's kind of a utopian idea. It's not
Yeah.
real. And then
And
there's
I,
the other half where I'm like, I think we need a little bit. I think there might
yeah.
be onto something.
And variation. I always tell people, variation plus consistency equals success. You don't have to, like, yes, so for, what was it? We just flew in on Friday from Toronto, and then we went mountain biking Saturday morning. So Saturday was supposed to be a gym day, but I was like, well, I'm going mountain biking for 4 hours or whatever. So we'll call that our workout day. And then today we had a heavy high rocks day and it was awesome. But I never got to the gym on Saturday, but I still went mountain biking. And that's still, even though gravity's taking me down the dang hill, I got to get up the thing first. So my legs were like toast. So it was a good solid lot or leg day. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then today was a little bit more upper body and some running, which I was going to run anyways. So fucking let's do both at the same time, right?
Hmm.
So that's kind of how I always tell people it doesn't have to be just the gym. If you just like hikes and walks, let's get you a weighted vest. All right. And
Hmm.
if you're, let's roll with that because if you throw a backpack on and you just ruck a hike that you would normally go with, just a water bottle, it's going to be a lot harder and you're going to work your stabilizers. So just throw on a wake vest and have a walk. So,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I believe that as well, man. I've always just kind of I've like noticed through even just like the way I speak about it, it's evolved because I used
Hmm.
to be like, yo, you have to go to the gym, you have to
Yeah,
lift, you have to do this, you have to do that. And now I just say, just exercise rigorously. Just
exactly.
something that gets your heart rate up and like you're purposely doing it, like not your chores, not your housework, like shit that where you're like, I'm intentionally going to spend like 40 minutes, an hour doing this to make myself better, a version of myself that's better.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah. I thought it was really cool whenever I really noticed it today because one of kind of the byproduct of my hood ornament night was it ended up my sympathetic nervous system would
Good
overact.
order
Oh,
night.
just clue in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my sympathetic nervous system would kick in hard. So I would get super, super anxious if I had a high intensity workout.
Mm.
So I kind of got away from it and I was doing a ton of like long distance running and this and that, it was working. My aerobic capacity was going through the roof. But then once I tried to do a high rock style workout where it's long intensity intervals for, upwards of an hour, hour and a half, I started having those panic attacks again, but I hadn't had them for a good year, year and a half. So I was really messed up because I was like, what the thing that I love doing but it's something different. Like I can't do this. And it really messed with me. And then I was like, no, I'm just gonna lean into this. So then I just started training that style of training more. I still did my running. I added in an extra rest day because my nervous system would be so jacked from doing that workout. And then now I like lean into it. I'm doing a workout and I'm like, oh, here comes a panic attack. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, but it ain't going to stop me. And then legit, you just work through it. And eventually your body's like, all right, you're not quitting. All right, let's give you another 10% effort here. Like it just, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what happens. So now I'm kind of like really enjoying that, pushing my body's limits again, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah. I get that with sprints, dude. Hill sprints.
Oh, yeah. They do that
That
to everyone.
yeah, I get that. I get that panic attack, dude. I've seen people get that like in sparring, just like if they get crunched into a weird position, like say like crunched forward, and you can't like expand your lungs all the way.
Yeah.
Nobody's choking you, like nothing's happening. It's not even like a submission, but you're just pinned in a funny way. And I've seen people start to panic and like, I've been there. Like I've been, there's a like a side pin where someone's across your ribs and you can't like breathe all the way and you're like,
Yeah, yeah.
am I gonna tap out? Like, and you're like, wait a sec, no, like I can breathe. I'm fine.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
okay. Like I can't do like the full breath, but like I can still breathe. I'm okay. I
Yeah,
don't,
yeah.
like it's a weird dance of like, oh, this is my body just straight up full on panic mode.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
don't
And
have
then
to submit to this. Like,
yeah, you don't. No, you don't. You don't at all. Because that's the thing is if you're, and I really noticed it um, with some clients that I was coaching in the class atmosphere. And I remember one of them, she was doing double unders, and I could tell she was getting really, really jacked
what
up.
is
And
that? What's
like,
a double
oh,
under?
sorry, it's every time you jump. Well, whenever I started, I couldn't even do a single under. So,
Oh,
but what
jumping rope.
jump rope?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So every
okay.
time you jump, the rope goes around twice.
Mm-mm.
So a lot of times it'll jack your heart rate and people forget to breathe. So they get like,
Oh yeah.
right? And then they're holding their breath and they're like, hey, well, I didn't trip yet. I keep going. Next thing you know, they're up to like 30 double unders. They haven't taken a breath. And
Mm-hmm.
then it jacks that nervous system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell people like break it up into sets and kind of okay, if I trip every time at 35 trying to get to 50, well, why don't you stop at 25, take a couple of breaths, and then go again? And as you get more and more comfortable with it, you'll be able to start breathing more on those 25. So using the breath work has been really cool with clients. I had one girl, God love her, she was so jacked up at these double unders, and I was like, oh boy, she gonna throw that rope here in a second. And then she tripped again, and that rope went flying, and she grabbed another rope, and I'm like, I don't think that's gonna help you. And same thing, tripped again. So
Yeah,
I went
yeah.
to her and I said, just breathe. I like grabbed the rope. I'm like, just you breathe, deep breath, and now try again. And then she got a big set. And I'm like,
Mm.
and then once she got on the bike and she was, done with the double unders, that's what I said to her. I said, you just got to breathe. You were legit about to have a panic attack. It's okay. Just breathe. It's just a rope. And she's like, that's true. I just have to breathe. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Oh,
So it's pretty
dude.
cool because then she crushed the double unders because she was just breathing. So,
I am the worst at it. I try so hard and it's so difficult, dude. I find
oh,
myself so many times a day, whether I'm like at work, like painting or like doing like dude, even during stretching, I have to remind
yeah.
myself like breathe, like
Yeah.
relax, like chill. Like I
Hmm.
am like sometimes I just find myself like yeah, I work where I'm like trying to do something that's like a smaller detailed type of thing where I'm like having to focus and like yeah, any finish work or anything like that. And I find myself like measuring something and it's like why are you flexing every muscle in your body right now? Like you can actually like chill
Yeah.
out. Like it's a weird yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I find I'm like I need to remind myself of that so many times of just like just like relax your shoulders a bit, breathe. It's okay. Like chill.
Yeah.
You're all right. You're
I
all
used
right.
to,
You're doing good.
my go-to line was if I was working and somebody was tearing a strip out of me and in the policing world and
Hmm.
tearing a strip out of me, I would always just, let them have their minute and I'd go, can we just have a conversation and make this easy on the two of us? Like, and it would just
Hmm.
deflate them entirely because I wouldn't match them. Obviously, there's a time and a place that you gotta deal with that. But, I was like, can you stop yelling at me for 1 minute so I can get my breath in? And then they just,
Yeah, but how do you do that in a way that's like not condescending? Because
I
anytime I
know,
find myself doing that, like
I know.
I am somebody that struggles with that. Like if someone's yelling at me, I instantly just want to chew their fucking head off.
Yeah,
And
I
like
know.
I'm not afraid of that verbal confrontation. Like I actually like it a lot of the time.
Yeah, I
And
think it's
so
just you can win every fight with using your words and chatting with people and just being human. And I feel like that was always something that I lean into was like let's get through this together.
yeah,
There's a
yeah.
reason that I'm here. I'd much rather not have to be here, but
Yeah.
here we are.
Right,
Right?
right.
And they're always just like, yeah, okay. I'm like, I don't want to be here, but I gotta be, so let's just deal with this. And then it's usually people were really good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a real dude, man, because that's really tough for me to do. I find like a lot of the time I just sound so condescending when I say things like that.
I think it was just so honest. They probably seen it in my eyes, like, man, this guy's like, he's gone 12 years in this gig and he is burnt to out. Like, they're probably like, he's right. I just need to give him an easier night.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's
I
what
don't
it
know,
is.
man.
They're just They're like, yo, let's just make this guy's life a little better. All right. Fuck.
Yeah, he's more rattled than me.
Yeah.
Let's just get this done with.
Bro, we can sell fentanyl tomorrow. We're to relax,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
No, it's
crazy,
good.
dude. How did you like start to develop that? Was that something that happened like before or after your accident? Were you always just kind of level-headed that way?
Yeah, I think I was always level-headed. I came from a
Nice.
really, it was like a fishing community, but it was very like, people dealt with everything. Like, somebody would steal something from you, you'd go roll them for their lunch money and take your stuff back. Like it was very, they dealt with it.
Right.
Um, and I remember like growing up, like,
Vigilante style.
yeah, yeah. It was like,
Yeah.
don't bother calling the cops. We'll just go get it back.
Yeah.
And I grew up in the policing side of it. So my pops, right, was like small town. Like there was like maybe 1,500 people there on a good day.
Mm.
But like I always got along with everyone. I was just like, people would be like, you want to fight? I'm like, why? Like,
Hmm.
can we not just watch this hockey game and
Yeah.
have our beer that we're not supposed to be drinking and
Yeah.
go to the party? And they would be like, you're right. And I'm like, yeah, like, fuck, let's just relax. So that helped me because I didn't, get my nose remodeled by anybody. It was, I lucked out a lot of
Yeah.
times, but that's kind of where I kind of was like, I got it. And I never really had that in me. I was never like, I'd get mad, but then I just deal with it. If I was playing hockey with them, I wouldn't go fight them after. I just paste their face into the boards and then move on.
Yeah. 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 I
So yeah, I think
guess
I developed that young because I was like, I don't want to have to fight everyone. Like, fuck. So let's just get along with everyone.
that's cool, man. Do you think that it was your parents that kind of instilled that kind of like healthy
Yeah.
way to do just deal with your emotions?
Yeah. It was funny because my mother was a doctor of, she's a doctor of natural medicine, acupuncture. So she was always very kind of the calm, which is crazy because she's a Cape Bretoner and her parents used to own a coal mine. So like she's tough as nails. But she was always very like, oh, like my father, John. She'd be like, oh, John, why do you have to be so mad? And he's like, they fucking cut me off. And he'd be losing it. And she's like,
Right.
the store's not going anywhere. And he'd be like, ah. And then
Right. Right. Right.
he retired Mountie. So, stressed out guy sometimes.
Hmm.
And she would just always be very like, why do you have to get in the hockey fight, Devin? And I'm like, well, like I was defending my goalie. And she's like, yeah, but it's just hockey.
Yeah.
Like she
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
always very chill. And dad was always very, he's a Mountie and that's the law. And if you break the law, sorry, you got to come with me and then we'll see each other at the family supper later. It's okay. Like it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
very chill. So I think I was fortunate that way.
That's cool, man. And where was it? Where'd you grow up?
Big Nish. So it's actually one of my old high school buddies just started up. He calls it the cold hard truth, and it's kind of his like a Facebook type post and stuff. I'm like, man, you could have a podcast in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But small town Tignish, so it's the most western end of PEI. So if you got off the Confederation Bridge and took a left, and once the road dead ends, there's a co-op. So like it's like a super small town, and I love it to death. It was like I was actually back speaking at a men's mental health night there that Kendall started, and it was really really cool. Like just and I said that to the guys, like it's just kind of he started it. He said, I'm gonna be here. He had struggled with some stuff, Kendall, and he just said, like, I'm gonna be here on this night, and if anybody wants to come out, any men want to come out and talk about their emotions or whatever, I'll be there. And it's just been exploding in size. He legit just funded it himself to start. And now like the community's really banded around it. And it's
Hmm.
legit like a men's mental health night. And it's like these big burly guys and like their kids are there. Like I just got a kid over here, Brighton from back home, and he spoke up at that event, told me and everyone about his addictions and that he just didn't want to die. And I'm like, holy shit, this kid's empowering. And he was sober for a bit, but he didn't want to relapse, this and that. And then he said, having heard my story and how open I was being a police and being vulnerable, that it gave him the power to speak up and kind of start on his journey. So I got him over here for a low, a fundraiser the other day, a big speaking event, Battle for Recovery. Jay Bernard started. So
Mm,
Jay funded him to get over, and I funded the tickets, and he was a
wow.
great kid. So yeah, a really good guy.
Dude, that's epic. That's cool
Right.
that Kendall got that started.
Oh man. And
Just
I'm telling you, this is the type of place that you don't talk like God love it. It's the best spot. I love it. I'm so
hardy
happy I grew
people
up
out
there.
east. Yeah, hardy
Yeah,
people
but
out east. They're
yeah,
not like Vancouver City boys here.
they're not going to be, it was very, like I said, you deal with this, and, if somebody steals something from you, you go deal with it, right?
Yeah,
Like that was
yeah,
normal.
yeah.
But they band together whenever someone's in, I had so many people reaching out being like, hey, like, I remember your family. I remember you. Like, thanks for coming and speaking. And I'm like, this is what you guys are doing is something completely amazing. So it's really cool that the community funds it. The different restaurants, they say, hey, we'll fund everything, whatever. Just let us know how many people. Meals are free.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
like
legit.
really, yeah, yeah, really good spot.
That's nuts.
Yeah, legit. Like and if somebody, I have a childhood friend now that's dealing with some health stuff and they did a big community fundraiser for her, like because her husband has to travel over to the treatments with her and like, but the community's like, oh my God, like, yeah, let's get her there. Like it's a good spot that way for sure.
Dude, that just blows me away. That gives me like I for a while I was kind of doing like hikes on Saturday mornings and such, but in the winter it kind of died down and it just kind of lights a fire that way. I was like, I should really
Yeah.
connect to the community again. Like
Mm. Yeah, man. Like, and you'd be surprised, like, because I was kind of shocked and I didn't, I didn't want to how some of the people back home might think of like what I've been doing and how like what I've been speaking about in my struggles. But then whenever I went back, I was like, oh my God, like the people that are saying thank you, like I'm like, oh, it's just like I said, I can't screw up my own story. So, like I'm just trying to help other people so they don't feel alone. But the support for the community has been so cool, like really, really phenomenal. So, especially for a small town, right?
yeah. And so like with a lot of obviously like the people that you work with, a lot of them obviously do deal with some sort of like trauma or work related
Yeah,
trauma. And like do people ever like kind of have like questions of like how is changing like my food or how is changing like my exercise or what I do, how is that going to help with any like processing any trauma? Like I
yeah,
feel like a lot of the times there's people that have been like, oh, but I've done that before and it didn't help. So
yeah.
why should this be any different?
The thing that we do differently at RTF and I have had people reach out about it, like, I have IBS or I have this or that. And I'm like, okay, well, how's your sleep? Oh, I don't sleep. And I'm like, okay. And what do you eat? Oh, fuck, I love McDonald's. I'm like,
Mhm.
do ya? Right? So, because the thing is like that's your gut microbiome. If you have unhealthy nutrition and you're pumping it with processed foods and things that are going to be difficult on it, that's going to cause your body trauma, like inside, because it's going to have to work really hard to process it. And then whenever you get stressed out, well, you have a GPA access, so all your organs are connected. That's the big thing with traditional Chinese medicine is your body's all connected through meridians. So what's really crazy about it is that's also going to affect your gut, but then your gut's going to affect your brain. And then there's a cross back and forth. So the big thing that we do at RTF is that proactive side of things. So getting ahead of the game and being like, hey, like, okay, you're stressed. All right, let's work at some processing things. Let's get you moving so that you can flush those toxins out in the body. Because if you're sitting stagnated, your body's not going to get moving and flushing the nutrients through its system. So that's kind of where a lot of what we do that's different at RTF, I think, and why the pugs want to go out, of course, in seconds.
Oh, all good, man. I'm surprised actually. I've got a couple kittens here and they usually like to come in, jump in, but they're probably napping on the couch. It's a sunny day here and they're loving the
Loving
sun.
life.
Dude, they're
So yeah,
loving it.
that's kind of what we do that's different, the proactive side of it. So if anybody was to ask me, that's what I would say. Like, listen, like it is connected. So if you're not having that nutrition or not working out properly, it's gonna affect your stress.
Yeah, dude, I actually, it's interesting you talk about the gut microbiome because that's one of the things I've had to really think about, and I never thought I'd say those words ever. Like becoming
Yeah.
a carpenter, I was like, I don't want to say those words, but I didn't want to think about those things, But I think I'm somebody that I don't really struggle staying consistent with the exercise. That's not my issue. My issue is I'm an absolute glutton. I'm an absolute dumpster for food, and
Yeah.
it's really disgusting sometimes. Like I've really struggled with my relationship with food, if I'm being blunt. Like it's a
Yeah.
problem, but it's what do you think? Because I've always had like kind of very irritable bowels, to say the
Yeah.
least. And
Yeah.
I think there was times where like I went fully like kind of animal based, I'd say, like where it's just like meat, eggs, fruit type of thing for like six,
Hmm.
7 months, and then I was slowly introducing things. Now I would say I have like a pretty just like a whole food based diet. Like I eat vegetables and rice and meat and eggs, fruit, not that many vegetables. I can't eat raw vegetables well. But I
Okay.
guess what I'm trying to say is there is definitely times where like I splurge a lot. Like I'll have like half a kit tray of brownies that because I make them for my girl and then they're for me. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of
Gotta taste them. Taste
right,
test.
right. And there's so many things. What do you think? Is there things like for people that feel like they're eating healthy, that like things that fly under the radar that just destroy gut microbiomes? Like I know,
Yeah. So like highly processed foods are like your worst culprit. So like super like, like deli meats, that's not like, like unhealthy deli meats. Most deli meats are probably not going to be your best bet
yeah,
anyways. But you can have a charcuterie board every now and then. Just don't have it every day.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah. Is it
so
like
a
the
lot.
nitrates or what? Like, is it what's
Yeah,
in it
it's the
that?
pro. Oh, sorry, 1 second
Oh,
here.
you're good.
I hit another button and my music started jamming in my other ear. Sorry.
Well, that's cool.
So yeah.
Pearl Jam.
So yeah, exactly. So that's what you want to do is limit the processed foods. And they always say that, processed foods would be anything that's taken away from its original state. So you can have chicken, but if you have chicken nuggets, well, the chicken nuggets aren't really that much chicken. It's a lot of knee bones and arseholes, right? Like, unfortunately, even though
Oh
they taste
yeah,
delicious.
yeah,
God,
yeah,
so good, right?
yeah.
But maybe having like, if you're going out for wings with the guys, okay, but maybe don't get the sauce on it. It's just
Yeah,
little
yeah.
things like that, right? Like if you want to go out and have a pint, like I always tell people, double, triple IPA all the way. I don't fuck, it's delicious. But I'm not going to go out and have four of those and then expect to train really good the next day or expect my temperament to be any better. Because now my body's trying to process the alcohol, it's getting fatigued. So now it's going to be even more stressed out. And then I go to work and then I'm really mad at work, but I'm already stressed out. You know what I mean? Like you got to kind of offload that window. So one thing that I always try to coach people on is the window of tolerance. And you got your basically, they might have told you, or you might have heard about this in the past, but essentially you got your upper and your bottom line, and then there's that dotted middle line.
Hmm.
So your upper part, that's your sympathetic nervous system. That's your fight and flight. I hate life and I'm mad at everything.
Hmm.
Then you got your parasympathetic, where you're like, I'm gonna lie on the couch. I'm gonna watch the whole box set to Friends and I'm not moving, right? So you want to kind of stay in those other two windows in between those, like it's almost like your healthy window. People go
Hmm.
up and down in there all day. That's not a big deal. But the problem is if you do stuff that keeps pushing it up and pushing it up, then you go into that sympathetic nervous system. You have those panic attacks, you have that stress response, and then your body tries to counteract it. So it pumps a whole bunch of these fancy chemicals around to try to trigger it to go back down, and then you bottom out, and then you get, you kind of drop into that depression, lethargic. So that's the thing is if you can train properly, you can keep yourself in that window. But if
Hmm.
you don't train, you overtrain, you don't eat right, you're going to go up into that parasympathetic or the sympathetic nervous system, the top end of it.
Right, right. Yeah, dude. And I think that that's so funny because you hear people now that kind of do, they'll maybe do a sport, and they lift some weights, they do some runs, and they're like, I'm a hybrid athlete. I don't
Hmm.
know if you've heard that. And
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, well, no, that's kind of just what an athlete does. Like they
Yeah.
stretch, they run, they lift weights to make themselves more stable and strong. Like that's the
The hybrid
definition.
athlete's kind of a like a catch term right now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that's what
I
I'm
you know what I
saying. Like
mean?
it's
And it's like, no, you're just an athlete.
that's
Like
what an
it,
athlete
right?
does. Yeah, no, that's what a traditional athlete is. Like
Yeah, exactly.
and there's a
Yeah,
reason for like I think you're literally saying exactly that. Like it's like there's a reason for it. Like you have to
exactly.
do things that jack your heart rate up. Sprints do
Yeah.
that in a way that bench pressing, you'd have to be bench pressing in a wild way. I don't know what you'd be
Yeah.
doing. But like
Yeah,
to get your
exactly.
heart rate up that high as like a
Yeah.
hill sprint, it's just not doable. Like you need to
Hmm.
have one thing to jack your heart rate up, one thing to make your muscle fibers tear, one
Yeah.
thing to stretch them out and let it
Yeah.
relax, and like a
It's
little bit of everything.
Yeah, 100%. It's not you're right. It's not hybrid athlete. It's just you're an athlete and or
Yeah.
you're doing athletic things,
Or you're a
right?
carpenter that likes
Or
to do adult karate classes at night, and you gotta do some stretching on the weekends to make sure you could go to work on Monday. That's it. Like
exactly. Nobody wants to blow a hammy.
exact. No, it's for real.
Legit.
Or a knee, dude.
Oh man, you're
I
at
have
that age too, eh? The knees start to go.
Dude, I'm gonna be 30 this July, and my goal is to get in the best shape possible as I
Hey,
can
I
by
like
30. And dude, I have to do exercises now that I never thought I would ever do just to try and build stability because one of my shoulders is already gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I got to make sure my knees and neck and back like stay mint. And I'm
Yeah.
doing like fucking yeah, silly things, dude. Like those, what are they called? Curtsy lunges and stuff.
Yeah,
Just,
curtsies. Oh, those are good.
dude, I do a
Yeah.
lot of reverse lunges
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, I things that I would have never done, and I just watched some guys on Instagram, and I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's
Yeah,
rebuild my knees
curtsies
then.
are, yeah. It's funny because one of the guys I was coaching the other day, it was tempo sets for three sets, building to a heavy set of 3 sets of 10 reps with a 3 seconds, so 3-1 X1, so 3 seconds down, 1 second active pause. X is your quick stand up, and then one is your recovery at the top, and then you go
Hmm.
into the next rep. So it was funny because I was like, geez, this guy's over in the corner. He's a short little jacked guy. He's wicked, comical as hell.
Hmm.
And I walk over, and it was 3 by 3. And so I go over, and I was like, man, you're doing 10 reps. Like, and the last set you just did 10 reps. Like, what's up? And he's like, man, I got to warm up these knees. And I was like,
Yeah,
what? He's like, these things are brittle, buddy. He goes, I got to get some reps in before I start loading the weight on it. I was like, that's true. He's like, I am that old. Like, that is where
yeah,
I'm at now. And I'm like, that's true. We've known each other a lot of years.
yeah. Even
Yeah.
stretching too, dude. My ego gets the best of me. I actually, my right knee is like feeling pain right now because I keep trying to do. I really want to force myself into getting like that. What's it called? That butterfly stretch. You know, when you're
Yeah.
like with both your feet up in the
Yeah.
cross leg.
Yeah.
And I just my one knee doesn't like to bend that way, and I was
Yeah.
forcing it a couple months back, and it's been like kind of soft ever since, dude. It just pinches weird sometimes. Now I got to do things. Like it's like, dude, I would never would have thought even like 3 years ago, I think, if you would say that I was lifting and not with a barbell, it'd be like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about dumbbells and kettlebells? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Push-ups instead of bench press? Like,
Yeah.
it didn't seem like a reality to me. Now I'm doing curtsy lunge squats in my living room, and
Hmm.
I have to learn it from some like chick half, on YouTube or
Yeah.
Instagram, and or
Yeah.
text. Dude, I have a buddy of mine that literally will just send me videos. So like, dude, how this is how you do it. Like, cause
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like I get that regularly with clients. They're like, what the hell is an eccentric dragon flag? And I'm like,
oh,
it's
dude,
okay. Click the demo video, and you got this, right?
yeah,
And then they're
yeah,
like, oh, I get that now. And I'm like, yeah, like because everything that they get sent has a demo video to it. So I'm like, click the video. It's okay. Like it might sound crazy, or it's like rear foot elevated. split squat into thrust, or you know what I mean? Like it's
It's
like a
too many.
paragraph of what I want them to
Yeah,
do, right?
too many demands, dude.
Yeah, too
Too
many.
many.
Yeah, I got to move multiple ways. No.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a one directional kind of. It is funny too, dude. That is one of the funny things is I've been trying to combine different directions in my
Yeah.
exercises.
Biggest thing
That's
that I find is if you can do that, man. So if you like any one of my clients I've noticed has really had a crazy big spike in progress. It's because we've went from bilateral stuff, so like back squats, we might go to like a reverse, like a back rack reverse lunge, or a barbell step up, like things like that. So that unilateral work, so that whenever all of a sudden we get back into a building block again with them, where their legs are next to each other and it's a bilateral movement, their numbers go through the roof
mhm.
because they're like, so you mean I can stand both legs perfectly placed, and I just got to do it. Just got to do a squat. But last week you had me stepping backwards off of a 45-pound plate with a barbell on my back, and then I had to do a knee drive at the top. Like,
Mhm.
and you're telling me I can just stand here and squat? Ah, this is easy peasy. So their numbers go poof way up.
Yeah.
So it's that neuroplasticity that your body gains too, right? Through doing different movements as opposed to your staple ones, or in conjunction with your staple ones, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys you should I don't know if you've thought of this, maybe you have already and this is obvious and silly of me to say, but have you thought of like hiring on counselors as well and
We do
include that?
actually, we do actually have them on well, not on staff, but on
I
like
knew it
almost
was
like
stupid of me to say. I knew that, dude.
no, what it is, no, because
Walked
what it
right
is,
into it.
no, what happened whenever I was off, right? The first time I went in and I told them on day two, I need help, and they're like,
Mhm.
okay, there's a number you got to call. We'll do the referral, blah blah blah. So then it was like, I don't know, probably a week after. And they would go, hey, you're on the list. We'll get you somebody. And I was like, well, good, because I haven't slept yet. So that'd be nice.
Mhm.
So then they call back the next week, hey, you're on the list, but we're still waiting. It was 7 weeks before I got to see somebody. And every time I'd call, I'd leave a message. And then I felt more and more alone, and I wasn't hearing from the department, and yada yada yada. So I was like, this is the worst process ever. And on top of that, it's the worst section of my life now. So I was like, why is there this hiccup in between the two? So a big thing that I do now is any of my clients, I always say like, so like right now we're partnered with two spots, two different provinces. So Nova Scotia, we partnered up with Noble Insights Counseling, and then out of Ontario, we partnered up with Innate Renewal. Lindsay, phenomenal gal. She really aligns with what our ethos is here at RTF.
Mhm.
So I said, hey, like you're a counselor, you got your own business, your own gig. Why don't we just open the lines of communication so that if there's members that want your service, you specialize in the first responder world, plus you're a counselor for civilians. Why don't we just fast track their process to get in if they need it? And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great idea. And I'm like, how hasn't anybody done this before? Like, this is
Yeah.
so, right? I'm like, this makes no sense. Like, we're trying to
Yeah.
help people. Why don't we just, hey, I trust this person. Ashley here in Kentville, phenomenal gal that just the heart of gold. And I was like, Ashley, like, you're trying to grow your counseling business. She said, yeah. And she said, it's really hard. It's like a, saturated market, but it's hard to get, how do you get out there and this and that? But we aligned on everything identical. And I'm like, why don't we just, like, so that whenever something happens to somebody, obviously there's the WCB side of it, and that's a separate gaggle.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
staying away from that side of it, if it's not a non-place injury, if they're just struggling with burnout, but they're not injured on duty or, something like that,
Hmm.
well, then these counselors can go through that. And some of them eventually would be like on the WCB side of it. But that's kind of where we're starting the groundwork. So I call them our partners in resilience. So it's any agencies, companies, anybody that can help first responders in that
Hmm.
recovery process. Let's figure out a way to work together to help more people, right? Because I'm not a counselor. I can
Yeah.
tell you what I went through, but I don't know if it's going to help you on your end. So that's where integrating those other counseling services has been really, really beneficial.
Yeah, dude. It just kind of makes you more of a one-stop shop. Like it's kind of
Well,
like,
that's
hey,
it,
look,
right?
like we're gonna help you with your stretching, your sleeping, your nutrition, your exercise, but there's also this other aspect of life that you have to
Hmm.
kind of also deal with, like the
Yeah.
more like mental and spiritual side as well.
Yeah, and Dario. So I don't know if you've seen us posting stuff, but Dario, he's a phenomenal guy. He owns Veteran Visions. We just connected through socials, and then I was like, "Man, you want to have a yarn? Like, I'm hanging out in the office now, typing." Like, so we scheduled a Zoom call, and we just hit it off. Both of us were saying, like, why is it so hard for first responders to get help? And just all these bottlenecks. He's a veteran, and Veteran Visions, his company, is all about like using like diary, sketchbooks, organizers to get those thoughts out of our head and put them onto paper, because sometimes that can actually be really beneficial. Like you're unloading your thoughts and your stresses, right? But he was actually training to be a counselor also. So he jumped on, and he's actually our lifestyle program coordinator, like our development. So he's really like, partnering up with these other spots, and we're integrating Veteran Visions as much as we can to help them with that service. And yeah, he's been totally, because the lifestyle coaching is more a little bit different than counseling, right?
Hmm.
And it just helps people with those healthy decisions, like, hey, I'm not sleeping, what can I do? Like, maybe you should try this or that, or, life's just getting to be a lot. Okay, well, let's prioritize. What do we need to do? And, that's kind of where we've really been successful with it.
Yeah, and I can cut this out if you don't want to talk about it or anything like that, or if you can't be public about it. But has there
Yeah.
been, have you connected with anybody or like talked to anybody about, or like anything like psychedelics? Like I've heard of like ketamine therapy helping a lot of people. I've
Hmm.
heard MDMA therapy. There's obviously the side of like the microdosing mushrooms and acid, LSD, those types of things. Like, have you been involved in that or heard about anything like that or it helping
Yeah,
anybody you
I've
know?
Yeah, for sure. I know EMDR, that's more with the eye movement therapy. That's been really, there's tons of research out on it now that it's really, really helpful for people struggling with trauma, because your brain essentially gets rewired. It has a
Yeah.
maladaptive response to that trauma or those incidents or etc. But yeah, I've heard good things about the ketamine side of things. There's actually one of the partners in resilience is with New Vista. They're out of here in Halifax, but they're phenomenal, and they do a lot of they're approved through VAC. So that's how I kind of got to meet them, because they were like, "Oh, you'd be perfect for it. Like you were an RCMP," and
Mhm.
I was like, "Heh, funny, but no, I'm under WCB, and
Exactly.
they're
Yeah, that's the
they're
thing is,
fossils."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a barrier of entry for people that
Hmm.
because like what people maybe don't connect the dots on is like you can't even really like flirt with those things all the time because it will be an impediment to whatever treatment. That your insurance could be like, oh, but we don't aren't going to cover that because now you're doing something that's going to
Exactly.
impede on. And so like
So
it's kind of a
that's
barrier to entry for a lot of people that I think it could benefit.
Yeah, totally. And not a lot, like on the ketamine side of things, like I know it's super expensive for the treatments, but their success rate's insane, like really well. So it's hard because then, right, like yeah, you're right. The insurance side of things, if you go and do it then you get into whole
I don't even
legal
know the
stuff.
validity of that. That's just my
It's
first thought is to assume that insurance companies are going to try and limit what you do and how you
yeah,
operate.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I,
it's the tough part, man. Like, it's a shame, because then people get stuck in the system, right? They get stuck in that kind of that yeah but this is the process, right? And you're
yeah,
like,
I have to
but
wait 6 months for this surgery or this
yeah,
whatever. Like I just have to wait for my next appointment and
yeah.
refill this next prescription and
And that was the thing that drove me. And I mean, in his defense, he's right on board with me now, and he gets it, because whenever I was struggling that time and I said, like, I need more help, they said, okay, we'll increase your dose, we'll increase this. And
oh yeah, yeah,
I'm like, that's not fixing the problem.
yeah. Oh,
But
dude,
that
I
was
lost it
so
on a doctor one time over
right.
that. Yeah, not my one of my best days, but it was
Like, I said to him, I was like, "Yo, God love you." I was like, "Man, like, I don't want any more drugs. Like,
yeah,
I want to get better, and I want you to help me get the root cause of the problem." And he was great. He's like, "Okay." And I'm like, "What?" And he was like,
nice,
"Yeah, like that makes sense." I'm like, "Fuck, thank you."
nice.
But then you fall into that. Now we're kind of going through that process, trying to get in with EMDR, and because that'll be super beneficial for the progress with my recovery. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, I talked to a guy. He was I hate myself for forgetting the name of the podcast, but he has a podcast. He's a fireman in Ontario. His name's
Okay.
Scott. I can't remember his last name right now off the top of my head. I think it was with an H, but he was one of the first people that I talked to, where he was talking about people that he knew, and I think maybe even his own personal experience with that, with ketamine therapy, and how it was helping first responders. And that was,
Hmm.
I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago when I spoke to him. But
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's been the last few years, it's really been taken off. And I know New Vista, they've been phenomenal to deal with, just like, because they're a partner in resilience. So I was
what
like,
is?
okay, like
Oh, New Vista. Right, right, right.
New Vista, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're out of Halifax here, and super good crew, right? But that was kind of the thing. I was like, I've heard of this stuff. Like, what are you guys all about? And it was really cool to see their setup and their system. So, but yeah, it's cool to see that it's starting to come to light a little bit more and gain more traction, because not everybody's path to recovery is the same. And not, if you just mask it with more drugs, you're not fixing the actual issue with the noggin.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
right? We need to fix the root cause of this. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it's like yeah, I think that's a good way to say it because I think that the in my understanding all the SSRIs and the drugs that at least I can explain my experience, all of those drugs were explained to me to be like kind of something like along the tune of like we're going to give you this, it's going to help you get to like a level where you can start to make impacts in your life, and then that will be when you can wean off. Like it was kind of like this like
Exactly.
you're going back to like Tutorial Island if this is a video game. Like you're going to go back
Yeah.
and rerun, we're going to reset your stats and you can get a better build this time. Like that's kind of how it felt.
Exactly, man. Like
And
legit.
it is like kind of like a like I'd we don't have to all ride the same vehicle. In fact, like I don't think all of us are supposed to be in the same vehicle. Like I think there's different ways to
Yeah,
get there, right? That's
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
but it is interesting. It's something that I think for all the ways that I'm pessimistic about our country, I think that that actually is one of the things that makes me optimistic. I think that we are
Hmm.
not in a good place now where we take care of people's mental health, but I think that it's going in a pretty decent direction in that regard. Aside from the whole MAID
Yeah,
program, I have my own beef with.
yeah.
But it's I think that that use of maybe psychedelics or just different vehicles, because it's like, look, like
Hmm.
if we're going to prescribe a bunch of drugs made by these pharmaceutical companies, like why don't we just have a crack at like let's let these hippies take a swing at bat.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not even saying stop the
Yeah.
prescription drugs. I'm just saying like let's let
No.
everybody have a swing at bat. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that it's going in the right direction. I think I see on the others, but it was one thing I will say was it was super, super, super cool in Toronto, because I was there at a first responder expo, and that was it was really cool to hear about how many departments were actually had implemented like training and stuff for their members, like, and like the proactive side of things. But it was also cool to see how many were interested in it, because that was my big thing. Was I was saying to people in different organizations was, you guys are paying, like, the average salary of a police officer is 90 some thousand in Canada, but you're not willing to invest 2 grand in making sure that they're going to be putting all those proper things in place. Like, you don't buy a car and let it rust out. Like, you try to at least undercoat it the first year, and then
Yeah.
you forget about it. But you at least try to do
Yeah.
your best to change the tires before winter. Like,
Mhm.
why are we just getting guys into the academy? They get hired on, and then the department goes, "Okay, you're number 13096. Have a good one." And you're like, but now what? Because they don't teach you that shit at the academy,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So it was really cool though, because they were very receptive of it there. They were like, "Yeah, you're right. Like, we should be investing in our business." And I'm like, or in our members. And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right."
How Yeah, dude, because how much of it, like, obviously your father was Mountie, and so you kind of got like a
Hmm.
pretty, I guess, like first, like, what do you call it, a first person perspective on that. But how many
Yeah, like a
people are
first-hand look
told,
at it. Yeah.
exactly, a first hand look, that's what I mean. But how many people are like maybe young, dumb city guys like me that are like, yeah, I want to be a cop and I want to, I never see violent interactions with police officers because I live in a suburb. So, like, for me, the only
Yeah.
interactions I have is like, hey, dumbass, you blew the stop sign coming home from the liquor store when you're like 21. Like those types of things. Or like, where was your signal? Or like, you went past the
Yeah.
suggestion stop sign on that corner that everyone blows through. Like, we got to stop you
Yeah.
as a formality. Like, that was it. Like, what, like, are people explained, like, this is going to be a job where you're going to see things that human beings probably shouldn't see. And like, you're just going to have to go home and like interact with your family
There's
in a healthy way. Like, is
yeah,
that just
like
like
you're
the
gonna have
expectation? Like, there's no
legit
explanation of
like
like,
it's there's that much training on it, and it's the problem. Like they say, hey, you got to take care of your mental health, but that's it. It
yeah,
was
yeah, you show up to like, yeah, and you don't
right.
even need to get graphic, but like you just see things where you're like, I saw something happen to a baby now, and now I have to worry about my baby that way for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
things
Or
like
you go
that.
from the ups and downs. The ups and downs are wild because you can imagine, right? And I came from a small town, right? Like imagine in the big cities, like, hey, no, thank you. That's so hard in the big cities.
Yeah.
But the other thing was you would see through the whole, so like, because we were a small service, um, and small town policing in general, you see that file right from start to finish. So you're there arresting the guy, then you bring him, then you interview him, then he gets released, and then you got to follow him through that process and the adjournments and all this stuff, and then it becomes a peace bond or
Mm.
something very minor, and you're like, but he grabbed my gun, or but he spat at me, or but he
Oh, dude.
tried to choke me out, or like you're like, and that's it. And so that happens a lot with members, is that like they call it compassion fatigue. And I've noticed that a lot, unfortunately, with members because they're just like the system's broken. But on top of that, they don't teach you what you're gonna. Maybe they've changed it now. Like I'm a little bit of a fossil. I've been in 13 years, but they don't. I never got taught that. And then I get to the thing, and the guys would be going out for drinks, and I'm like, okay, cool. That's how we process. I process like that, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't know the difference, right? And I grew up in a policing family. My dad never drank, like, but now I probably can why he didn't, because like people were processing it the improper way or not. They were just masking it with booze or with improper coping techniques, right? But yeah, they don't teach that. So, and it's kind of nobody really talks about it, but because that kind of really affected me, I was like, yeah, like they should be.
Yeah, yeah.
Should be
It
talking
is,
about
yeah, it is nuts, especially with social media now. Like, I get a lot of my algorithm is insane, dude.
it.
It's nuts, but I get a lot of like crime, I get a lot of violent stuff, and I get a lot of like police body cam stuff, and sometimes, like I
Yeah,
said, I see things that I probably shouldn't see. And
yeah,
there's this one video that I recall though. So when you say the ups and the downs, I think so much about this because it's this like highway patroller in the States, and this guy, he's like, you can verbally hear him saying like, I hope this guy runs. Like, I hope he runs.
yeah,
And he's like screaming in the car. He's like, pit, 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 pit. And he's like, bang. And you can hear him like, whoa, yeah, like screaming, dude, like
yeah.
celebrating so much. And the guy gets out of his car and he's like, oh, this guy's gonna squirt, like he's gonna go. And then he's like, you can full like hear him breathing so hard, you can hear the adrenaline going, like, and he just goes and grabs the
It's
guy and he's like screaming like it's like a football play, like, like, and it's like the
legit.
Super Bowl, and you're like, dude, I could see myself really liking that. Like, I could see myself
That
really enjoying that.
I after some foot chases, I remember high fiving my backup whenever they'd
Oh
get
yeah,
there, and I'm like, woo,
fired up. Yeah,
like I remember.
yeah, fired
And I
right
remember
up.
telling the people, like, why would you? Yeah, oh, yeah. They were like, I had a guy give up one time because he's like, you wouldn't F off. Like, you just kept running and
Yeah,
wouldn't piss off. Like, he took me through everything. And I was
yeah.
like, Oh no,
Human
buddy,
beings
you're
are
gonna give up.
persistence hunters, dude. We are born to chase prey. That is,
So true, man. It's like a yeah, it was legit, right? Like even like the night I got hit, I was like, oh, he's gonna run on foot. Here we
yeah.
go.
Oh
And
yeah.
then ta-dunk, right? So then he didn't run on foot, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
but that's it. Like yeah, it's so true, man.
Do you guys so is it mandatory to wear body cams? Is it optional? What's that like? What is that?
They're starting to make them mandatory now. They've been mandatory, I think, in other provinces for a bit, but in our province here in Nova Scotia, it's more and more departments. It's mandatory now, so
And how do
guys are
people
rolling them
feel
out
about
more.
that?
I don't know. I don't know how they. I think the public likes it that they're always being recorded. And I mean, if anything, some of the fossils think that well, now we can't say stop for this or that, or everything's gonna be scrutinized, but. Honestly, my night, if I would have had a chest cam, it would have been totally beneficial because
Mhm.
you had defense saying one thing and you had me saying what happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And right. So like the last thing I remember was the tires turning to hit me, but none of that's recorded. It may
Right.
have been recorded, but that was the last thing I remember. And none of that gets aired in, because it's just in my report, not as a video. So people just go, oh, well, that's open to interpretation. So
Yeah,
that's whenever
yeah.
you get the frustrated with the system, right? But in my situation, I think it would have helped the case, but potato, potato, he's still spending some time in jail.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But well, it
Yeah.
is it's always I've kind of seen both. I don't know how I feel about it. It's always been like a very
Mm,
I like the idea of it providing more safety for officers and like civilians as well. But there is kind of like this I know that like for example, like if you like work in like a little mom and pop shop, there's going to be a lot of areas where you're like you have a customer who's a regular type of thing, and maybe you give them a little bit more leeway. Like maybe you see them pocket
mm,
something, and then you're like, "Hey, man, it's 2 for 1 a day." Like kind of like a tongue in cheek, like I know what you're up to, but like it's okay. I'm gonna let it slide this time. I feel like sometimes there's like that aspect of like it does kind of it takes gray areas out because it's like, well, dude, look, like this was happening, and this is the repercussion for that. And it's like
I'd agree with you for sure.
and
Yeah, it
that part
definitely
of it
does.
makes me a little uncomfortable, but there is definitely times where I've been in situations I'll just arguments with my buddy. I'm like, dude, I wish someone was recording this because you're literally
Yeah,
saying
I
something
did. So, buddy,
like
all the
you
time,
sound so dumb.
100%.
Yeah, you sound so dumb right now. Like that's not what happened. Like there's so many
Yeah,
times. But
yeah,
like I said, like there's kind of both sides of it, and it's something I'm still like I don't know where I fall on that. Like I've never
yeah. It's
really
that's a good point. I never actually thought of it that side of it. It's true. It does take a lot of that gray area out of it.
in a positive and negative way because I like the as
Exactly.
I've been on the receiving end of like where I've gotten grace where I shouldn't have gotten grace, and I like
Yeah.
that aspect of it, and I have a very positive, even though I was a bit of an idiot, I still have a positive outlook on police because of that, where I was like, oh,
Yeah.
they knew I was just being a fucking knucklehead,
Yeah, exactly.
and like, dude, they could see me shaking in my boots, so like like it was like
And
kind of
not
like.
all I think people all the time they're like, dude, you're a cop? Like what? Like I'm like, yeah, but like not cops aren't all saints. Like, and we're not
Yeah.
all we've all had our youth and we've all had our growing up. Like so like I never got in super young. I was 23, but like, so I always laugh with people, right? Like I'm like, it's okay. Like it's cool, right? Like
Yeah.
we'll work through this or like yeah, I could charge you for this, criminal code charge or you could get this motor vehicle act charge and it's a lot less and you don't gotta go through the criminal system. Like why would I jam you up for the higher penalty? Like it's just gonna set you up for failure in life. So let's go with this one. You still get a knuckle wrap. Can we not do that again? And they're like, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Right?
dude.
Like it makes sense.
Yeah, dude, I think that like for real, there's been times where I've been like, dude, that is a like there's someone watching over me right now because like that could have gone way worse just because I like
Yeah.
there was off ramps for me and I did not take them at
Yeah.
all and I just like should have had a head-on collision, but for some reason like my metaphorically speaking, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Yeah, I
it's
get you.
it's yeah. It takes away I like that kind of and again, maybe it's because I live in like a little suburb of Vancouver. I like that kind of idea of like the small town, like get pulled over on the side of the road. Like vividly remember a cop looking at my ID and being like, I can see your house, dude. You fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like go
Yeah,
home. Like
legit.
what are you doing? Like,
Yeah. I remember like small town growing up, right? You would run from the police on your dirt bike or whatever, and
oh
then you'd
yeah.
get home and they'd be sitting in your driveway and you're like, "Mm, damn
Yeah.
it, he found me, right? Like they're like, because you're the only green bike here
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
entire community. Like, we know it's you, Tyson or Timmy, and they're like, damn,
Yeah.
right? I'm like,
Yeah.
of course they found you, you Dumbo. So yeah, there's something to be said about that small town policing stuff too.
Yeah. Man,
Yeah.
it is such an interesting kind of do you feel like a lot of people like I know there's been like a couple of incidents in the past couple years here in Vancouver where a lot of people are feeling now like there's less and less repercussions of people just and maybe it's due to social media and like having it being like blasted on Instagram stories, but we just had a recent event here actually. It was like a Filipino festival type of thing in the Vancouver area.
Yes.
And
Brutal.
dude, yeah, nuts. And there's like so many different things where people are like, "Oh, how come there wasn't blockades going in? How come this didn't happen? They should have been more prepared." But just talking to somebody I know who like knows that is knows someone really well that was like a first responder that was down there, like hearing them describe it, it sounded like that couldn't happen in Vancouver. That doesn't happen in places like
Hmm.
this. And I think that
Yeah.
more and more like people are just seeing things like that. Do you think that there's like this feeling, or do you feel like there's this idea that like a lot of times nowadays in big cities, like things like that just aren't handled well, or nobody's held accountable, or these things like because I feel like, and I don't know if it is because of social media, but I can just recall a couple of like super violent things that happened in the last few years where it's like,
Yeah.
why is this happening? Like, why can we not just like go to a
Yeah.
food truck festival? Are you kidding? Like, what?
There's a lot of the problem is there's a lot of catch and release too, right? Or sometimes people that should be in or at least reprimanded, or there should be better systems in place, but you can't, it's hard to it's hard to weed out all of it, I guess. Like I said,
Yeah,
it doesn't really answer your question, but I think it's the system's kind of broken in that respect, right? With some of the catch and release stuff, but it's tough. Honestly, it's the world's really wild, right? Like, and that was one thing that it's hard too because you can, yeah, it's tricky, right? Like, yeah, I guess
does
I
that
can't really
distance
answer it to be honest.
does that like disincentivize cops at all? Where it's like, well, I just stopped this guy last week, and what now? I'm going to
Yeah,
spend 3 hours to try and get this guy
yeah,
paperwork written up, get him into the station again. Like, it's like,
yeah,
really, is it worth the trouble when I'm just going to see him next week and he's going to laugh at
100%.
me?
That's where
And
you
I
get
just
that.
like, it's
I
brutal.
had a
Like,
guy
what?
one time. I stopped him. Like we went to get a coffee, and he pulls in and he looks at me. He's like, ah. So I walked up. I'm like, you probably didn't get your license in the last 24 hours, did you? And they're like, no. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I'm gonna tow your car. And they were like, yeah. And I was like, why don't you just pay your fines? And they were like, because I owe 100K. Like, I'm like, oh my God. Like, of course you're not going to pay. You owe 100 grand and you're driving, like I get it now. But like, I'm like, so then I towed his car. And then the next day you have to tow his car again, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a different car because the last car he had was just a few $100. So you know what I mean? Like so that you get that frustration on the first responder side that we get it, like we hear it a lot. We're pretty used to it in that field, but the civilians don't get understand that, right? They're like, why is this happening? We're like, we don't want it to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And that's what I
yeah.
mean. Like, do police feel that as well? Because it's like obviously the first person you want to point the finger at is like I kind of dove into that event just like the day of, and it was like they in the very beginning it was like, oh, he's had like nine or whatever police incidents in the past, and they were all in regards to like mental health. And before I was even like of voting age, there was like the last mental health or the last like mental institution, mental hospital was closed in Vancouver. And it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, it's not far from where I live actually. But a
Yeah.
lot of people in Vancouver attribute that to like being one of the reasons why crime and homelessness and drug addiction spiked. And
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I don't know what the response is over there, but here it's kind of like we're going to open up safe injection sites and like places like that. And so that's just how they deal with it now. And so when people have those
Hmm.
incidences with the police and it's mental health related, it's not really dealt with as a crime anymore because they call it a mental health
Hmm.
incident, you know? And it's
Yeah.
kind of like, well, I don't know any like mentally healthy people that like go out and try and hurt people. And so like isn't
Yeah.
every violent crime then a mental health incident? Like why can we not just deal with
And
this as a crime?
in my experience, it is like,
Right?
there's
Like
a connection there. It's the same with addiction, right? Like, what do obviously there's different factors that can contribute to it and all that stuff. But like, a lot of times anybody that I've chatted with that, you're maybe they OD'd and you save them with Narcan or they're wanting to try and commit suicide or take their life and you have to talk them off the bridge and stuff. A lot of them say, I don't want to be like this, like I don't want this, like
yeah.
I don't look forward to waking up and being hungover so I get drunk again, like. And I'm like, okay, like, so there is, I think, a connection with that for sure, that I don't know when that's really going to hit the mainstream and all the people with the big letters in front and behind their names get to label it. But I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's something like Jay, with Empower to Recover. We really align on that, right? There's a totally a connection between the two. And yeah, so true.
Do they have like a definition for you guys as police that is like this is considered a mental health incident or this is considered a
Oh,
crime? Because
oh
like I
man, that's
get
above
like
my pay grade.
like it's one thing. I don't know how it's differentiated, but like like we've all been there where you're like walking down the street and there's a guy that's just like kind of got like his hands in his pants saying he's gonna kill somebody, and you kind of just write it off because you're like, well, he has no capability of doing anything like that. Like he's like in another world, like whatever. Like I could see that being like, okay, that's a mental health incident. But like, what if he had
Yeah,
something sharp in his hand? Does that become a crime? If he like physically threatens
yeah, it
somebody,
depends.
or like when is it considered?
Yeah,
Because like at what
that's the
point,
hard part.
like what point can we start to arrest somebody?
Yeah, so it
Like
would be on a
because they
situational
have car
basis,
keys
but
in their
like,
head.
yeah, exactly,
Like,
right? That's the hard part and that's where it comes down to coaching your officers and making sure that they have those updated conversations with not just from the stats and the emails, department emails, but like actual training on that stuff. Because, yeah, that's something that I really noticed, whenever I was going through the years, was like there's a big connection here with mental health to crime and to, not all crimes. Sometimes people just suck, but sometimes there is that
yeah,
connection.
yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, like it's. I could see if someone was like, oh, well, like this guy's mentally healthy, but he's selling drugs. I get that. Like I could wrap my head
Yeah,
around that. But like I don't
yeah,
think anybody that's mentally healthy can like actively intentionally hurt somebody. Like I think that they're just by definition, you're like, that's not mental, like that's psychopathy. Like at that point,
yeah,
like
yeah,
so we can just basically like, any violent crime could then just be like, oh, this is a mental health incident. This person's having like
yeah.
a
I don't
breakdown.
know.
I don't know, you know,
Yeah,
and
it's tricky, man.
not to put you on the
That's
spot.
no, I
Like
know what
you
you mean.
speak for all
No, no,
cops,
you're
but like it's just
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can tell you I don't, that's for sure. That's
I
fucking I'm way too low on the totem pole for
yeah
that.
yeah
But no, but I don't mind giving that insight because I think that that's a big thing as members get, you know, you're in the department, you can't speak about, you gotta kind of no comment.
yeah.
But so it's kind of hard there. But for me, like I'm pretty outspoken, so I don't mind sharing my side of how I interpreted that because that's nothing wrong with me saying how I interpreted something, right?
And
Or so yeah, that's kind of where.
and dude, at the end of the day, like it's kind of like I am somebody that's passionate about mental health, and that's why I think it's important to differentiate because I could
Yeah.
see a lot of people that feel similarly to me just being like, well, the hell
Hmm.
with all this mental health stuff. Like, it's good if you take this logical conclusion of like, oh, we're going to dance around every crime now and just call it a mental health, then to hell with all of it. Lock everybody up,
Yeah.
like, deal with them like like Vlad the Impaler style. Let's get rid of all these people. Like, you could take that to its logical conclusion. And I don't like that. Like that's why I think
Yeah,
it's
I hear
important.
you.
Like, you have to
Yeah.
differentiate. Like, when is it? Is it like I said, is it capability? Like, oh, he has nothing
Hmm.
on him. He's just some guy yelling into a corner of a building. Like, but like if he had a
Yeah.
sharp enough toothbrush, well, then you wouldn't want your daughter or wife walking past him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so at what point
It's
is it
so true.
like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, I know. I don't know. I totally agree with you. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's tricky, man.
it's a weird area. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the time, and again, I'm fully able to admit, like, I'm definitely influenced by my algorithms, and I think social media is a big part of it. But
Yeah.
I do. My brain's Play-Doh, dude. I'm not even plastic. I'm like, I'm Play-Doh, dude. But
Yeah.
I think about that a lot. Like especially because, like, well, obviously we just had the election, and I am somebody that I haven't always been 100% concrete in my beliefs and my values. Like, I've definitely shifted a lot. I voted for one
Hmm.
party when I was 18, and I vote completely differently now. And if you had interviewed
Hmm.
me at that time, I would say I would never think this way. And it's hard for me to believe that I thought other ways. And so
Yeah.
I constantly have to think about these things because when you have like some event like that happen locally in a place where you're like, I literally drive through that neighborhood all the time, like every day.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around that. Like, there was like stories of people like seeing the guy after he had done things, and you're like, instantly you're
Yeah.
like, how do you not clobber him? How does he leave that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how does he leave? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have
He'd
this
be
like
he'd be
visceral
bouncing off the
emotion,
ground. Oh
you
man,
know,
yeah. If you're right,
100%.
that's so tough.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, quarter him in the street. Like, that was
Yeah.
my first
Yeah.
that was my first reaction, was just like, dude, I've got a toe strap. Yeah, but it's like
Yeah.
you have those reactions and then you read the story. It's like he's had 9
Hmm.
interactions that were mental health related, and like your brain starts to go like, okay, what are we talking about here? Like, is this
Yeah.
real? And then you hear like, oh well, this happened to parts of his family, and and then you start to feel a lot more sympathy. But it's like at the end of the day, this maybe not avoidable, but like, can we prevent it in the future? Like, is there what
Yeah.
happens after? Does that deter other people from doing it? Is
Hmm.
there a way to, like there? And dude, there's been so much. The one thing that gives me hope is like there's been so much like GoFundMe's and like all these different things to help out with the families, because it's a
Good.
pretty big Filipino community in South Van, and
Yeah.
yeah, dude, it warms my heart to see a lot of people that have been working towards that. But it is like one of those things where you have this like initial, like super visceral, like I wasn't there, I was asleep, but it feels like I was
Yeah.
there, because
Yeah.
you're watching videos and you're hearing quotes, and so it's like you have this initial kind of response, and you just kind of I'm like I said, I'm Play-Doh, dude. I will my brain can be molded either way, and so I think it's important to different perspectives on things like that.
Yeah, no, man, I totally agree.
Ah, dude. All right. Well,
Well, buddy,
yeah, out of
what's,
respect to your time, I know it's a little late for you.
hey, hey, buddy, we're all good. It's all good. Oh, fuck yeah, look at that. Fucking, yeah, yeah, it's not bad.
We've been
Ah,
flying through. Is there
it's
anything
all
that you
good.
want to chat about that we didn't talk about or anything like that?
No, man, I was just like, I love it. Every time I'm on the podcast, it's just like this. We're just hanging out, having a pint together, right? Like it's
Yeah.
legit the same feeling, right? So, yeah, I always appreciate getting on and kind of getting to have a chin wag with you. So it's always cool to see your progress, and it's like our 6 month check in, right?
Yeah, yeah. I like it, man. I like that
Yeah,
you're like continuously growing this. It's crazy to think about how much you have on your plate when I think about like just like the full-time career and then like I said, like all of the different speaking engagements and like obviously RTF. It's dude, you got a lot on your plate and you're somebody I look up to a lot for that because I try and
thanks, man.
I keep my plate spinning, but I look over at you and I'm like, how's you got 6 plates, dude? I'm struggling with four. What
Yeah,
the fuck?
I got really good at juggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts, man. I really do appreciate you a lot, man.
All right.
And thanks for
Thanks a
bearing
lot.
with me as well with my rambling and my time wasting. But
Hey. No, man, legit. I'm usually any free moment I have, I'm in at the RTF office. So my partner's super supportive of it. So I'm pretty lucky to have her give me as much time as I need for whatever. So it's good.
wicked, man. Well, thank you so
Yeah,
much. Let's
buddy.
wrap this up. Much love and peace out,
All
buddy.
right.
Have a good one.
Cheers, man. Take care.
Talk soon.
All right.
Bye.